for being here. This is the Town of Star Valley Ranch Planning Commission meeting on, what is today? Wednesday, January the 14th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. We do have all commissioners in attendance. Let the record also reflect that we have Town Administrator Aiken, Town Building Official Kazier, and Town Clerk Hurd. If I can, first of all, get a motion to adopt the agenda. We had talked about possibly making a change, though.
Is that moved?
Yes, if someone wants to make that motion.
Second.
Okay.
First.
Yes, and tell them what we're doing. So the conversation was to swap agenda items A and B as far as their order. So can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Albers and seconded by Commissioner Sommerfeld. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we're going to move those around. All right, so with that, the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the December 10th Planning Commission meeting. Did everyone get a chance to review those, and are there any changes? I haven't seen any feedback on changes, so if they're good to go, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from the December 10th meeting?
So moved.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Commissioner Dalton on that one. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, and seconded by Commissioner Nowloff. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. So minutes from December 10th are approved. Okay, moving on to agenda items. So we're gonna go with the plat amendment first. This is a plat amendment for plat 14, lot 71 and 72. And this evening, we're gonna review that for, to approve or to make a recommendation to approve or deny that plat amendment. Now, we did get some public comment on this one, which I think, were these verbal or written? You wrote them up for us. Okay. So, I don't know if the commissioners have had a chance to look at those, but one of the comments was concern about the historical creek bed that was located behind, I guess that's a neighboring property. I'm not familiar with a creek bed or anything. Is there, I'm gonna look at you, building official, because is there any issue that you're aware of as far as that behind these properties?
Some of those creek beds have been rerouted,
Okay.
so they were the old creek beds.
Okay, he said that.
Depends on which, that location. I'm pretty sure that one's been discontinued, yep. Paperwork's over there with Leisure Valley.
Okay. Yeah, the rest of the comment was pond and located by Ridgecrest, or the part of the creek located by Ridgecrest had been filled in. The creek hasn't overflowed in 30 years, but he was just concerned about possibility of flooding, I guess. Oh, he also inquired whether the proposed structure would be a large metal pickleball facility. Now, I think we talked a little bit about this the other day, but the town has not received any building plans for this property, for this lot combination right now. Now, you did talk to the owners a little bit?
Said they were working on some plans, but.
Okay, but we don't have anything, so we don't have any information that would support that's what the plan is. Okay.
None whatsoever.
And then there was another comment, again, about a second public comment about the possible proposed structure and being concerned about the size, type, and appearance of the building being a barn dominium style structure, and the fact that it was potentially going to be near the golf course, and would that be a problem? But again, we don't have anything at this point, and any building plans that come in need to conform to the town code, which, allows structures to be within certain guidelines. But
Within setbacks.
Yes, and within setbacks, obviously. Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns from the commissioners about this one? No? Right. And get a motion to either approve, or recommend approval or denial of this plat amendment application.
I can recommend that we approve and move this forward to the town council.
Okay, we have a motion to recommend approval by Commissioner Sommerfeld. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Albers. Are there any questions from the public about this lot combination? Okay. Any questions from the commissioners? All right, I'll call for the question. All in favor of the motion to recommend approval of the plat amendment lot combination for plat 14, lot 71 and 72? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the clerk will draft up a memo for the town council on that one. All right, moving on. The next item on the agenda is the Mountain Estates annexation petition. And just for the public that's in attendance tonight, the purpose of this agenda item is for the Planning Commission to start an initial review of the annexation petition. The annexation petition was certified as being substantially compliant with statute on the 2nd of December. And so in accordance with the statute, the town has not less than 30 days, but not more than 180 days to hold a public hearing before the town council, where the town council will decide ultimately whether the application is accepted or denied. So the Planning Commission comes before we get to the town council. And so tonight they're going to be looking through the application paperwork. We do have the developers here, and the commission may have some questions for the developer. And then following that, once we're done with the agenda item, we will have public comment. And so that anyone that's here that wants to make public comment can do so. So with that, we have and we do have a copy here of the application, the annexation application, if any of the commissioners need to refer to that. I know everybody got the files electronically. We also have an additional item, which we'll get to in a little bit. It was also provided. So the petitioner for Mountain Estates, the Mountain Estates subdivision is Bucket List LLC, and Mr. Dirk Isaac is here representing the LLC and as the petitioner. I mentioned that it was certified as compliant by the town on the 2nd of December, and the annexation fee was also paid at that time, correct? Okay. In accordance with the statute, when an annexation petition is submitted or initiated by a landowner, there are a number of requirements that have to be met. The first one is that the annexation petition is signed and dated by a majority of the landowners owning a majority of the area sought to be annexed. And that is indeed the case. There were deeds provided establishing ownership. The names and addresses of all property owners within 300 feet of the proposed annexation were also provided. A legal description of the area sought to be annexed was provided, along with a statement that each signer is an owner of the land, and a description of the land within the area proposed to be annexed was also provided, along with a map of the area. And we do have, just up on that, my notes, you're not gonna be able to see that from where you are, but that is the proposed development plan currently for the Mountain Estates subdivision. And then as I'm going through this, if any of you have questions or want to jump in, please feel free. I was just kind of going through the documentation review, as it were. In addition, the town has a number of requirements. We have a checklist that was provided also to the petitioner, and cover letter was part of that request. We also requested a site plan along with the proposed development concept for the property and a schedule of the proposed development. And Commissioner Stewart, you had asked earlier, right now the development schedule, as we're currently aware, is on here as far as the phasing, but I don't know if that's anything that's going to be subject to change, but that's what we have at the time being. And then one of the other items that the statute requires is a determination if the area sought to be annexed is contiguous with or adjacent to the annexing town, and we know that that is also the case. Okay, so at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to the commissioners. If you have specific information requests based on your review of the application to date, and again, this evening, this is not a final determination of, we think everything is, all the information we needed is there. For the public as well, the town staff is in the process of drafting what's called an annexation report, which is something that statute also requires us to do. That's on track to be done at the end of this month, and the commission needs to review that as well. The annexation report is going to include infrastructure requirements and costs, utilities, all the impacts to the town. So it's kind of going to roll everything up into one nice neat package as far as what the assessment of the overall pros and cons of this annexation are for the town. So for tonight, we'll review the information we have. I want to make sure the commission has a chance to ask the developer for any other information you think is needed, or just any general questions that you have based on your review so far of the information.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the checklist, we have name and address of all property owners within 300 feet. Have we done that yet?
It is in here, yep, there's a list that was provided by, as part of the application of all those addresses, and there's about 30-something of them, I think. And so what'll happen there is, yeah, it's right here. As part of the timeline, and I guess I should have had that in front of me. So following, hold on, let me pull the timeline up so that I'm not misspeaking here.
Okay. But we haven't heard back from these people, or have they?
No, and so that's what I
was.
was gonna tell you what we were gonna do next. Okay, so tonight we're having the initial review. So after, on the February 11th meeting for this planning commission, is when the commission will make a determination to make a recommendation to the town council on whether they think this application should be approved or denied. Following that February 11th meeting, then the town clerk will send out certified letters to all the folks on that list. And in accordance with the statute, they will get notified of upcoming dates, but they'll also get a summary of the annexation report, and be made aware of subsequent public hearings that'll be coming up before the actual decision before the town council. So that's when that comes into play.
Okay, thank you.
One of the other things the town is going to do before that happens is at the end of the month, we plan to publish the annexation report and as much documentation as we can on a place on the town website, and we'll send out an email notification so that residents can access that and read it as well, to be, you know, more fully informed before subsequent meetings occur. So, thank you. Okay, so that's where we are in the timeline. Okay, does anybody have questions for the developer? Put you on the hot seat, Mr. Isaac. Do you want to come up to the podium for us?
I have a few general questions, Dirk.
Okay.
Since 2018, you've drilled your well and improved your water system, I guess would be what I could say to that. And you've changed the design, the numbers of homes, and you've made some of those changes. What else, if anything, has changed since your original application in 2018?
Just as you've noted, basically the design we've reduced the amount of units, and primarily just to comply with the county's regulations, or what the terms they wanted, and we met with them, and it had gone through back and forth to what would actually accommodate that would be favorable to them. So with that, that's the change what currently you have is we reduced basically the amount of number of units.
From your, I believe your presentation, your slide presentation in April, has anything changed since that, you made that presentation?
With the county?
With you, with your plans, with your?
With the county?
The ones that you've been.
Yeah.
With the county, no, this is the same.
Okay, and you do have the water resources on your annexation request. In other words, you have the water necessary to run your proposed subdivision?
Right now, we are approved through the county. This development can go through the county. With that, it requires a secondary well. And also to bring up the point, there is one landowner that is Mary Aaron's that has not signed for the 200-foot easement. So she has not signed, she's not approved it yet. But as far as that, I have the other one. So I have one more to sign on that, to use that current well. If the well does not, if I do not get that, there is alternate directions I can go with that. To accommodate the development of the proposed development, I do need a two-well system. And with that also, I need a storage tank facility to develop in the county.
Okay.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah. I was looking today, and I haven't seen what you dropped off today, but your Sunrise Engineering Water System review was in '22?
We have a current update with,
You have an
actually
update?
emailed,
Okay.
yes, that
The
is
update was
2024.
the update was my question.
Yeah, we have it.
Do you plan, if you annex in and we basically share the water with you, do you plan on providing a percentage of that water from your wells, or would you be taking all your water from here?
No, the design is actually to, definitely the well would be given to the township,
Okay,
yeah, to accommodate
so,
and to also benefit and access.
yeah,
to
but that's a
provide-
situation that can go both ways. Water can go both ways.
Sure.
Yeah, so for our understanding from the town engineer is that in the event the subdivision was annexed, that the water system that's developed there would need to tie in to the existing water system.
Currently, yes.
And as part of that, any infrastructure that is in that subdivision would become town infrastructure.
Correct.
Essentially. The existing well, I know you're still working on the wellhead easement issue. What's the flow?
It was tested at 100
Mhm.
gallons a minute. It didn't draw down hardly anything, and they actually can do a projection. I called on that, and Ryan, my engineer here with Sunrise Engineering, is actually probably more adequate to be able to service
Okay.
those questions than that, but
Okay.
it can facilitate more than that. And talking with them, can't remember the other Ryan's name, but it would need to pump adequately more to
Yep.
service. So it was
I've
205
seen
gallons.
your agreement with the county on the right-hand turn lane off of 89.
Correct.
How will you, and what would be your responsibility? How would you objectively measure the impact on the muddy string traffic?
They've already did the traffic study, the county has. And with that, they proposed and they assessed me a fee, which I've agreed, and we've already signed agreements with them, with the state, to increase that turning lane and to pay my portion of that, of the
Okay,
impact.
All
Because
right.
there's also other developments that work.
okay, and kind of a big picture thing here. What advantages are there to you for us to annex you in?
The advantage, for this annexation to happen, it has to be a win-win on both parties. I don't think it's beneficial for either party for one to win and one to lose. It needs to be a win-win. And so I just want to be very upfront with that. If it's not a win-win, it's not a good thing for either party,
Right,
right?
yeah.
And so I would say that clarity to be upfront and just open. I don't want to be a water master, but right now, I have already approval through the county. I can go direct direction and be a special improvement district.
Right,
And that's basically my own township, right?
yeah,
So I have that approval right now. I think that beneficial as far as the town and me, I think that the water definitely does, but we also have water and the capability to get more water that would be beneficial to the town.
yeah,
The town would also benefit from the tax revenue sort of side of it as well. And beginning to acquire the utilities and improvements that I would be putting into the township, such as the roads, the water,
Yeah.
lines, the supply lines.
I see you have to pave your roads.
Yes, correct.
Are you gonna put in all your roads at once early, or how do you plan on staging through your development?
We have the phasing schedule, which is before you. We plan to actually move forward in the phases to financially accommodate. And the next question would probably come up is how fast? It's gonna be depending on what the market bears.
Right, yeah, I see that Thane just had that big subdivision canceled. So, you know, where goes the market? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If I knew we'd have a crystal ball, I'll be ready.
yeah.
So,
And you'll do the design and building, you yourself? Will you be the general contractor on the project?
a majority of them, not all of them.
Okay, all right. That's all the general questions I have. If anybody else?
To follow up on the phasing question, for the infrastructure is it all gonna be done in phases, or will you put like all of the utilities in at once? Is there any type of plan to do that, just in case something happens and, you know, this doesn't
You
end?
accommodate to a phases accordingly. So you don't want to put your whole infrastructure in at one shot. You have to do it in phases schedules.
And does the water system require looping at all?
Yes.
So will that be done in phases too?
According to make sure it's looped, yes.
Okay, so what happens if the phases, the 3, 4, and whatever, the later phases don't get built out and the water system isn't looped?
Ryan, come on up.
Ryan Erickson with Sunrise Engineering. I don't know that we've planned out phasing with the town specifically, but you already have water lines basically on two sides. So I don't think it would take much to have a loop in there. Yeah, it kind of depends on the phasing though. You don't want to, just from a cost standpoint, it's hard to build too much out in front, you know, if you're not there, if you're not building that location.
Is there a contingency plan, would that fall on the town then, if we weren't able to get everything built? If he wasn't able to get everything built, and then would we be left with having to connect everything ourselves?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So like, for example, if it wasn't looped from the south over to the west,
Yeah.
if that complete loop wasn't put in from the get-go, then what would happen if something didn't happen
Yeah,
in the
so I
future?
think,
So, yeah,
And,
so maybe that's something that would have, as far as the phasing goes, you start there on the south and run a line over to Mud Street.
You'd want to continue, as you develop, you have to have the lead system in place to accept the next phase. So if you accept a phase, that has to be looped,
Okay.
right?
yes.
Does that make sense? Am I
Yeah.
understanding your question?
Yeah, and I know I'm gonna look at Town Administrator Aiken. I know he's been talking with our town engineer. He's also working on providing some information to us to help. But certainly, if we went with, if a phase development is what ultimately happened, that each of those phases would have to be approved and worked through, or he would have to
Correct,
approve
through
the
the
water
engineer.
system portions of those.
Yeah, but that hasn't been specifically laid out
No.
at this point. It's
No.
still pretty early in the game for that, but yes, I agree.
And if we annex,
Hey, you had your turn, sorry.
if you're annexed in, your water system then would be built to the same standard and requirements of what we have just gone through here, updating everything?
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be that way regardless. Whether I'm annexed or not, it's going to be built to that standard.
Right, okay.
That's through the engineers.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Do you have current plans to like start construction, or are you doing any construction right now, like during this annexation process?
I do have a permit to actually start phase 2 in the multifamily
Do you plan to start that
in spring,
in the spring?
correct?
So if this is a timeline question, if the annexation goes through, are we able, like, does the spring work for you, Scott, on our building codes and everything?
Sure.
'Cause I think they're different than the counties, right?
Well, yeah, we'll have to adopt the articles.
Yeah, we
So-
have to make sure we stood to the standards of the township.
Okay.
Anything else for now?
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't understand when Fred was talking. Are you building another well?
To build out this way, right now I'm at a kind of a decision point.
Okay,
Do we go annexation, or do I continue to go the path of, through the county and not worry about being annexed? And with that takes, I'm at the Y at the road, decide which way, then depending on if this annexation is a benefit for the town and us, then that's the process we go with. If it isn't, then I automatically go with the town, and I have that already planned that way, yes.
okay. Because I do have concern for water because if this winter doesn't scare us, then nothing will. Right now, it's not very good. So I just have a little bit of concern for water and how that is going to affect the town. So that's my question.
Yeah,
And I guess that will be answered at some point.
Yeah.
sure.
So the town hasn't, we've been having some initial discussions with our engineer and looking at, you know, the types of things that the town would need to bring to you as the developer, saying, these are the types of things we're gonna need if this is gonna work,
Correct.
right? So we haven't done any official development agreement type negotiations yet with Mr. Izad or with his LLC. But that's coming up here as soon as we can make it happen.
I have a call scheduled with our engineer on Tuesday of next week, and I hope to get a lot of answers that I can put on paper and share.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds good.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
for the public and, you know, for the developer as well, you know, before we get to the actual decision point where the town is gonna give this a approval or a denial, you know, we would want to know from the town side exactly what the town would require and what the developer is willing to do, right? And we would need to have an agreement down on that, probably in writing, obviously, so that everyone knows what they're signing up to.
Correct,
So,
yeah.
We just haven't got to that part of the process yet.
Thank you.
And to address your concern,
Yeah.
one, it is unusual to have a little bit of snow down here, but it's ironic. Did you look at the snowpack, what we have up in the mountains? Yeah, we're over 100%. That's crazy to
It
me.
is very bizarre this winter.
But also Ryan has some findings on the water issue that he can actually provide for you to
Yeah, that
maybe
would
I'm
be
get
not
you
sure
a
the
little bit
format here,
clarification.
we
Yeah.
can throw some of this stuff out.
Yep.
So we performed they call it DEQ Chapter 23 study. So that's something in the counties, if you're developing 6 or more lots, you need to follow this DEQ rule of looking at the adequacy of the water and wastewater, what you propose, and is it safe and
Is
adequate?
this the March 2024?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
we do have a copy now, but we
Correct.
just got
Yeah.
it, so thank you for going over some
Yeah,
of
so
that.
that was done, you know, the county requires it, the state requires it, it's not required in a town.
Right.
So that's just kind of how the state statutes laid out. So we, you know, I'm a professional engineer, we looked at that and did that study. We also used a professional geologist, which ironically, he used to work with Weston Engineering, now he works with Forestry, so that helped us on that as well. So looking at water and wastewater aspects of it. So what was proposed in that study, of course, was if it's developed in the county. So that's a little different than what we're talking if the town annexation goes through. But in looking at that, we looked and said, okay, how many people do we expect? You know, probably 300 plus people would be a development of that, just using census numbers from the last census. You're looking at how much flow. So average day was about 42,000 gallons per day would be the water demand. And a peak day, a max day would be more like 113,000. So what does that number mean? What are your resources now? I know on your website, Forsgren has a study that was updated in '24.
Yes.
And so that's what I looked at to say, well, how does that compare? So your current water sources, you have a spring and you have 3 wells. The spring was listed from 1 to 400 gallons per minute. It would vary with the season, I'm sure. The 3 wells were at 325, 300, and 500, and I think some of those could be enlarged with a bit larger pump and that sort of thing. So there's quite a bit of source capacity that it looks like the town has right now already. And then you've got just under 1 million gallons of storage as well, according to that. So looking at the town's use, 420,000 gallons per day average and about 1.5 million gallons per day max day. So the use at their development at build out is about 10% of what your current use is. Of course, the Starville Ranch area is what, half developed? I mean, you still got a lot.
60% now.
Yeah, there's still a lot of growth that can occur, within the existing town already. So maybe when that all occurs, not that this ever happens. If everything were just to build out and here we are, they might be 5% of the overall, demand. So, the town seems pretty well situated from a source standpoint. Again, this is all subject to, your engineer, this is their, but I wanted to kind of see in general terms where things fell. So yeah, you seem to have quite a bit of source already, so. I hope that answers some of
It does.
the
Thank you.
water questions
Thank you.
there. So.
Just some of the things from the town's perspective on where we are with the water. We do have great sources for our water right now. Storage is one of the things we're concerned about going forward into the future. We have some aging water storage tanks, things that are in need of repair, and having additional water storage in the future is something that the town council has been talking about and trying to work into future budgets. So it is a great water system, but it was built for the town as it's currently laid out. So we just have to make sure we wouldn't be negatively impacting that. So again, all these conversations still need to get worked out and discussed so that everyone has an idea of what they'd be signing up to.
And for me, looking at things, it makes more sense for this development to help contribute to the town's water system than to build their own separate system right next door and put those resources into their own little water system. I know Wyoming Water Development, who's funded a lot of the stuff that you guys have done, they frown on lots of little systems. They like more regional type systems. So, it's just for redundancy. I mean, you end up spending money on, they spend money on a tank, you spend money on a tank, where you can pool your resources and do better. So, anyway, that's kind of my opinion as well.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, one question. You mentioned a number of people, 300. And is that what you assume build-out would be?
Yes, yeah. In the study, when we looked at what the water demands would be based on the number of lots that were in there, number of units, because there's some multifamily too. And we just used the census number from the 2020 census, which was like 2.7.
2.71.
Yeah, people per unit, basically. So yeah, it was like 333 or somewhere in that range. Again, that's a build out. So I know in Star Valley, you don't see build out very often, You see a lot of subdivisions with, even when they're pretty full, none of them are really 100% full. So when that would occur, I don't know.
It's currently 68 single-family lots and 52 townhomes?
Yeah, total 117.
117, okay.
And hopefully I've got the same number. Again, this is the study we finished in '24.
That's fine. I don't mind a ballpark.
Yeah, that's the ballpark though.
Thank you.
Can I, before you go, Ryan? So the existing well, is that, so it is 100 gallons? It was tested to 100
It
gallons?
was tested at 100, and
Okay.
I didn't look at the specific numbers. It had some drawdown, but not a lot, and so it would obviously produce more. We kind of talked about it. I should have.
It was a minimal drawdown.
I would think you could it easily produced twice that.
Okay.
And again, Forsman could look at that, because that, Ben is the one who helped with this study.
Oh, okay.
He looked at that, I'm sure he would look at that number of, because there was a test pump done on it, you can kind of extrapolate that out to see what kind of production you could get from the well overall.
And how deep is the well?
Was it
460 some, 460 and some change.
Yeah. They're a little deeper where he's up on the hill here. a little
Right,
bit.
right. So do we, that doesn't go down to the salt lake?
Yes, it is. It is in
a
Salt Lake.
Yeah, Salt Lake Formation.
Okay,
It's not alluvial.
okay. So it is beyond, it's not the
Yeah.
lower one, it's the
And-
deeper one.
One more thing I'll throw out, when we did this study, there was a study done by, is it Robert Holmquist?
Yes.
Mhm.
And we referenced that with our study, and we had basically the same findings that he did. But, yeah, there's kind of a difference, you're down here off the hill, it's more alluvial.
Mhm.
Up on the hill, it's more of the fine-grained, silt loam, clay loam type of soils, and there's a greater thickness before you get down to the water.
Right.
So that, the water up there is actually quite protected. When we did some water quality test results on that well, and like the nitrates, for example, you would expect, he's basically surrounded by Star Valley Ranch, and the nitrates were almost zero.
Yeah.
So, pretty good source of water.
Okay.
And we are not on the same aquifer, right?
I'm not sure where all your wells.
Ours are
come
all in
from.
the Salt Lake aquifer, so.
Are they all Salt
yeah,
Lake?
they're
Okay.
all
Yeah,
well-
generally municipal wells, you try to go deeper.
Mhm. Yeah, they're all 500 plus.
Yeah, and the Salt Lake aquifer varies a lot in the valley. Some places it's productive and some places it's not. One thing we are definitely blessed with in this corner of the state is our water resources, so.
Yeah.
So we are on the same, the new,
It sounds like it is,
Yes.
yes.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
The
all
same aquifer.
drawing from the same
Yeah.
aquifer.
Which, feeds the Salt River and everything. It's all
Yeah.
kind of the same system.
So is the Freedom. Freedom's also on that
Mhm.
Yeah, and probably, yeah,
Freedom water system.
imagine
Makes
that is too. They have a deeper well.
Dirk, you said that we annex you, that basically you would give us the well. Trevor, would we want to improve the quality of that well's output?
And there's no pump in it right now, right?
Yeah.
There is a
no,
pump?
Yeah, it's active.
It's about
Okay, so it does-
144,000 gallons a day, is that how I read that?
At 100, well, I'm not sure what size pump you have in it. That was the test pump, was 100 gallons per minute.
Okay, so you are pumping that, it's not a flowing well.
Correct.
No, correct, we are.
So
Would we
I'm-
want to improve that?
I'm not qualified to answer that question, and we need a little more data on it before Brian
Okay.
Welling, our engineer, would have to weigh in. He did comment that he, I think it was 205 gallons a minute is what he said would need to be a benefit to our system, and I don't know what pressures it has, if it will integrate with the system, and that's something we're looking at right now. So, I don't know if there's any improvements that do or do not have to be made. Have to ask our engineer on that. So I'll get you an answer as soon as I can.
Okay.
Anything else?
This is for the town. What's gonna be in that report that we're going to review?
In the annexation report?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me go over that real quick with what I have statutes here somewhere. Okay, so. Alright. So in the statute, I'll just try and summarize this. The annexing municipality shall prepare an annexation report, and at a minimum, it shall contain a map of the area, we got that part. Total estimated cost of infrastructure improvements required of all landowners by the annexing municipality related to the annexation. A list of basic and other services customarily available to residents of the city or town, and a timetable when those services will reasonably be available to the area proposed to be annexed. A projected annual fee or service cost for services described in the previous paragraph. The current and projected property tax mill levies imposed. The cost of infrastructure improvements required within the existing boundaries of the municipality to accommodate the proposed annexation. So those are the major items. Town administrator and I have also talked about, so we have to statutorily satisfy those requirements, but there are quite a few other items such as impact on our roads, where access points would be and what that does to traffic. You know, any other concerns that we've been cataloging that like for instance, those of you that were at coffee with the mayor yesterday, we have a lot of those questions and concerns down. The town council has a running list of questions and things, so we want to be able to address all of those as sort of an annex to our annexation report, to our appendix to it. And we would also include, when the engineer provides his assessment of, you know, what the water system requirements and things like that would be. We want to have as much detail as we can, so.
And that includes the things that are on this plan, like maintaining pathways and parks.
Yes, I mean, because there's some other, yeah, good point, there's some other requirements in our ordinances, such as requirements for buffering, or, you know, in areas that might require that, and then landscape plans and things like that. So, I mean, we want to make sure all of those get addressed, and I know Trevor has talked with you about some of those things that we would like to have in writing, or at least understand what the plan is for them, and
Sure.
we'll make sure that if there's ones we've missed, that you're aware of them, so that we can get those information requirements from you, preferably before the planning commission meets on the 11th of February to make a recommendation. So, and this body does have another meeting 2 weeks from today on the, what is that date, Jamie?
28th.
28th, thank you. So if we feel like we would like to have Mr. Isaac come to that meeting, and you would be agreeable to do that?
On the 28th?
Yeah, if necessary, if we still have more questions that have come up between now and then.
Is it possible we'll have the annexation report by the 28th?
I'm looking at Trevor.
It's possible.
Possible.
I'll try to get everything I can.
Yeah, I'd like to have as much time between the arrival and the 11th of
Yeah,
February
absolutely.
as possible.
That's why we're trying to get it at least by the end of the month, so that there's a, you know, good 10 days of time for the commission to absorb all of that information, and also for it to be made available to the public before the 11th of February, so.
Will the report include like a cost-benefit analysis on, you know, taking on these new roads to the town? And then do we have the machinery to maintain them, the man-hours, things like that?
Yeah, it'll have everything in there I can get an answer to. Yeah, it
Yeah.
should have
Yeah.
considerations like that.
Pros and cons. We're also gonna, I was talking with you earlier, we're trying to, also with the annexation report, the town's gonna put together sort of a summary slide deck, you know, that'll be part of that. So if someone wants the Reader's Digest version, they can look at the slides, but if they want to read the whole report, you can do that too. So,
And then, is there gonna be any communication or from Mid-Valley Fire about?
That's a good question. So you're probably aware the town currently has a contract with Mid-Valley Fire for our, you know, emergency fire services, right? We've also had discussions with the fire chief from Mid-Valley about the access point at St. Andrews Lane onto Vista, which we, at this point, had agreed as a town to allow emergency, like a fire crash gate there when we, you know, at some point. If the property gets annexed, it would obviously not be a gate, it would just be a access point.
Correct.
Because by ordinance, oh, go ahead.
Is the town part of the Mid-Valley District, or are they
Yes.
separate?
Well, we're,
If you have a lot in the town, do you pay the mill levy to the
yes,
district?
yeah, the town pays, we pay, give them a good bit of money
There's
every year.
both of those in the valley,
Right.
some do, some don't.
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know if I'm getting at your question, didn't mean to jump in on it, but if you're not annexed, what is your plan for, what would you do? Would you have
For-
your own contract with Mid-Valley for fire?
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. Because we'd have our own system to
Right.
draw from.
Okay. That makes me think of another question, and are you gonna will you form your own homeowners association to deal with like covenants and
Correct.
things like that?
Mhm.
Okay. Other questions from the commission? Okay. Okay. Anything else that you wanted to provide to us at the moment? I'm sure there's gonna be some back and forth in between this meeting and the next if we have
Sure.
additional information requests or
absolutely.
questions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's, like I said, this is the first approach for me, the benefit, the pros and cons. Again, I just want to make it clear that going forward, I've already got the approval from the county. If this is a benefit for the town and us, it could be a good fit. But it needs to be for both parties, I'm not looking here to try to, I know there's a lot of misrepresentation and rumors that are going out there with false information, that I'm not here to steal your water. That's not the intent. The intent is I put the supply lines in, and if it benefits the town, great, that's awesome. But if it doesn't, that's okay. I got the other way, I can keep going. So I just know I'm at the Y at the road, I need to kind of decide which way I'm gonna go. And so, anyway, with that being said, that's pretty much.
Okay. So for the commission, again, we're not making a formal decision on anything tonight. What I would like to know is, are you comfortable continuing forward with the process at this point? We know we have some information, quite a bit of information we still need to gather before any decision making, but, or do you see a reason why we should put the brakes on at this point?
I think as long as that list of information that you have and that we need,
Mhm.
I think the planning commission definitely needs to see that before the public hearing.
Absolutely, yep. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, so we need to then, I guess, officially set a public hearing date, which we've talked about, the 11th of February. Is that, or, and I know I'm asking you to look into a crystal ball here, based on what you've seen so far and knowing that there's quite a bit of information that comes, so that's a little less than a month away, it's like 4 weeks away. I suppose when we get to the end of the month, if we find we still have significant gaps, that we could always shift the timeline out. That's why we try to, with this initial timeline, is to give ourselves some time on the back end if we do need more time to just review information before making a decision. But for now, is the 11th of February, is that acceptable for a public hearing before the planning commission? Okay.
Does then our next meeting on the 29th
Mm-hmm.
give us enough time if we decide at that meeting we don't have the information we need to still,
To push things out.
yeah.
Yes.
Like, will we be in the notice period at that time?
Like for the notice
the public notice.
I don't think we send that out till after the public meeting.
Yeah, after the public
Okay.
hearing,
Yeah.
before this body, so it'd still be okay. We'll just keep an eye on sort of the overall time so that we don't end up pushing out past the 180 days, so.
I'm interested in what Trevor has, the information that he's gonna gather.
Yeah. And the lead sled dog on that, so he's had
Doing a lot of weight
going
right
on.
There you go.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Do we
Anything
need
else?
a motion now to keep moving forward?
I don't think so, just because we're still fact finding right now. It sounds like we don't see a hard stop at this point, like this is just, we're so devoid of information, we can't possibly make the 11th of February. So, and then we will look at that when we have our next meeting on the 28th, and if we need more time, then we're gonna add more time to the schedule, so.
But currently, you have all the information you've requested from me.
Yes.
I've provided all the information.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're kind of at that point now where it's really getting to, we need to sit down, have the engineers sit down and, probably get some legal folks talking to each other about draft development agreements and again, so we would know what everybody would be willing to agree to once we get to that final decision, so.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Commission. Okay, so moving on with the agenda, apologies, we are up to the public comment period. So, for public comment this evening, if you can come up up to the podium and state your name. 3 minutes of public comment. Just ask everyone to, keep things civil, especially, I know the annexation is a very, could be a very emotional topic for a lot of folks, especially those that have been through it before. So again, we're just in the fact-finding phase now. We're gonna be as transparent as we can as the information comes in. I will also ask that for public comment, we are going to, as a commission, and the meeting's being recorded, but we'll make sure we record any comments or questions that you have, because we want to compile them into that list of things that the annexation report is going to hopefully address and answer. This really is not a forum for engaging with the developer at this time. If there are questions that come up, though, that we can readily answer, we'll certainly do that, but I'd like to confine as much as possible to giving you the opportunity to just tell us what's on your mind. So if anyone has public comment, please feel free to come on up.
Roger Willis, I live on, in town here. I was at the meeting that you came up with, needing the gate. I think there was a few of us in there. By the time you finished that meeting,
You're going to address the comments here
Okay.
to the commission. Thank you.
by the time he finished the comments that he was giving out, he said he was broke, okay? And he said it several times through the meeting, which we all got. Okay. If this project he starts and he gets halfway, not even halfway, a quarter way through, is the city going to be responsible for everything after that? Put the roads in and such, not sewers, but water and stuff. That's one of the comments. And,
Okay.
I think that's very important to think about, because I just read the Jackson News, and they were talking about 3 areas over in Colorado, small towns, that they're so, they thought they were going to do pretty good. They're all ready to, go broke now. So I was just wondering, we got to make sure we're not responsible for the rest of the, project. There was a comment during that same time that when Dirk showed up, I don't think he mentioned it, but somebody else said that everything would be done before we would annex it, if it came to it. That came in too, so I just want you to
No,
think
I
about
appreciate,
that.
I'm just going to respond to one piece. So one of the things that we're going to be working through is that in our town ordinances, we do need to, as a town, have satisfactory evidence of adequate financial resources to complete a development such as this. And any infrastructure that the developer intends to put in, if the town needs to have bonds secured and things like that, we definitely would do that. And we would have a development agreement, again, that everybody would be signing up to. And in the event there was changes of ownership down the line, those same requirements, though, would be included, so that if someone else down the road is going to finish that project off, they would still be on the hook to complete the project, without the town paying for it. That's the goal, because we don't want that to happen.
No, I was a builder, and
Right.
I seen an area where we started building in, and we had to stop. It came to a halt,
Yes.
and the town was responsible for it
Mm.
after that. And so it's very important you guys take a look at
Okay,
that real
no.
close, because that's
Duly noted.
what causes towns to go broke, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So we'll definitely include that on our list here. Okay, anyone else?
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Nancy Hodge. My husband Tom and I, we live on Sugarloaf Drive, so you can imagine the concerns that we have. We live on the corner of Vista West and Sugarloaf. Our property actually backs up against the development. It backs up against lot 27 and 28 on the map. So the concern, I think you voiced as well, is water, and ours is considered water and water pressure. In having a development like this large, there is a concern about having access to water. The well that is there is my understanding that if you annex it without Mary Ann's approval for the easement, then that's gonna be an issue.
Yes.
And while it says he hasn't gotten it yet, it's because she refuses to. I talked to her personally. She's not going to give an easement, which means the well would have to be moved. And so there's concern with that I think you need to consider. If you haven't talked to Mary Ann, I encourage you to do so because she is refusing
Yeah,
to give that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Nancy, but she has been in touch with the town and the entire town council, so we're aware of her position.
The other point that I think needs to be looked at and considered is septic. We are downhill from this development area, and concerns would be seepage into our property, into groundwater, into even pipes that may break, get into, our water system. So I think that needs a real good look at to ensure that it's, up to code and is good. And Vista West. Yes, the corner where all the potholes are right on our corner. And one of them looks like it's gonna be a lake soon. There needs to be consideration there. There is a lot of traffic on that road now. There's a lot of people who walk their dogs, they go hiking, they do snowmobiles in the winter, they do, ATVs in the summer. There's golf carts, they use the golf cart to get up to the top golf course. So right now, it's kind of scary with the winding road and the dirt road. So I think that needs real serious consideration as to how Vista West can be improved if there's going to be that much more traffic coming onto the road. In regards to the public meeting, I really encourage you to make it a Zoom meeting and that a letter goes out to all of the residents of the town of Star Valley to give them an opportunity to talk. I actually ended up yesterday afternoon, sending a text message to one of the owners of the property on Sugarloaf who lives in Arizona. And he is in uproar about what's, the traffic that's going to increase, the noise, the, air pollution. A lot of that concern has not really been thought of or addressed. So I really would strongly encourage a Zoom meeting and that communication goes out to all, a letter would be perfect, being mailed to everyone, but the word needs to get out so that people can voice their concerns, particularly the ones on Sugarloaf.
Okay.
So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nancy, appreciate it.
My name is Chase Limas. We live off of Vista West, so I think our home is in the flight path of the fire brigade gate. And so I think I'd really challenge the council and the administrator and this group to really think about what are the benefits to the town of Star Valley Ranch. On $1 million home, you collect about $500 worth of property taxes annually. And so 100 lots roughly at $500, you're talking $50,000. That's the revenue that you would gain by annexing this. That's not a lot of money based upon what we would have to provide to this development to maintain the roads, to do all kinds of things that you would have to do once you're in the town. So I'd really challenge you to come up with really solid pros. As the developer mentioned, this wants this to be a win-win, but the only win I've heard in this conversation is we would eventually get the tax money. And that $50,000 wouldn't come until 2038 or beyond, because that's what kind of the phases are aligned out. So between now and then, you're going to get a little bit of that money. Right now, you would get almost no money from the one multifamily home. Second thing is, I think, my concern is if we do annex, that we need to change the whole plan on where the secondary road into this development would be. They have to have a secondary route from a fire protection standpoint. Right now, we've got a little breakthrough gate. I don't think that's going to be adequate, so I would also encourage you to look very, very closely. Vista West is, for those of us that live on it, is a dusty nightmare. The potholes are starting to get hilarious. I always tell my wife she's trying to kill me and bust my kidneys every time we come home from the grocery store, because we have a huge truck and it still can't navigate the potholes. So you're just going to add more traffic on whatever you do without looking seriously at how we mitigate that. And that's really kind of my last comment, is that I'm not sure what the positives are for us. You might be able to tap into the water system, you might be able to do, there's just not a lot there. And the developer has stated that he has approval from the county, which in my opinion, shame on the county, but he's got approval from the county and he's ready to move forward. I say we allow him to move forward unless we can solve all of these questions with not a lot of what ifs and maybes, but some really good definitive plans. But I also would encourage you to make sure that all this information that you are collecting gets out to the public as soon as possible. Even what you have today, I think you need to start feeding this to the public and getting that information out. The only people that really know are the people that live, I'm on your list somewhere of eventually getting a certified letter. And so beyond those folks, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, another development. I don't think people know. I think this is a horrible time of year to do that, and I don't think it's the word's getting out there. So we need to improve the communication plan significantly. As it stands today, with this plan up here, if I was voting, I would say no. If we can solve a bunch of the problems that are there, I would say maybe. But right now, I think let the developer do his thing. He says he's got a plan, he says he's got the money, he says he's got everything he needs. So my final question is, then why does he need to annex? Because we get $50,000 in tax money, maybe a little bit more from sales tax because you have a few more bodies. I don't know what the pros are. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Tony Violas, 17124. My predecessors hit most of what I had to say, but I just want to reiterate. This has been a mild winter. Let's keep it that way, for some. And it's been tough already with employment and even plowing. If there's an annex, I would imagine you're going to look to buy more equipment, or even, I'm just assuming, more equipment, possibly get employment. It's been hard enough this year or in years past without being annexed, and the roads have always been a topic of concern here. That's going to be, in my opinion, with all that extra property, it would take away from your other important, not that they aren't as important, but would the town be taking over that for plowing and cleaning? Right now, we don't have space here. If all that development is there, has it been thought of where is the snow gonna go? The other part was Vista West. Everybody wants their plat surfaced. They want it finished. Would this new area get a priority over the plats that, because the road is narrow, the roads have potholes, and people are gonna wanna buy, and when they go out there, they're gonna say, what are you gonna do to the road? Would this new development on Vista West get a priority to have that road, nothing against Vista West, but would that get a priority of being resurfaced or widened for emergency purposes? That was just
Are you asking, sorry, just to clarify, about the roads within the subdivision, or?
No,
sorry,
as they
just
leave the
west itself,
subdivision,
okay.
going
Actual
either
Vista
up
West,
to
okay.
Aspen Hills or going down, is it wide enough for the amount of cars or traffic that will be coming? Just like being said, I've seen golf carts going up and down there, and it's more like the Daytona 500, with cars going around the curves and golf carts. So, and my last one, which you probably can't answer, but it is a question, if their annexed is completed, would the annexation request to be part of the HOA? That's something you can just ask. I don't know, but I know it's going to come up at our meeting next month, and I would like to see if that is, so we can prepare an answer.
I think that question came up at coffee with the mayor yesterday morning, too. And you're, just to clarify, asking could they become part of the association? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Are they going to request it? Because if not, they'll just be treated as a visitor and not have the same perks.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Sorry, I'm scribbling notes madly here. Hold on one second. I know you're typing them. That was a lot brighter idea than what I'm doing over here, so. Okay, anyone else? Okay. On my agenda here. All right, thank you very much for taking the time to come out and for all the comments. All right, okay, moving on. Under discussion items, we have an update on the master plan and the survey. We'll keep this short. So Commissioner Stewart did prepare a great summary report of the recent electronic survey that went out to residents. I believe I neglected to forward that to everyone. Commissioner Stewart and I are still trying to find a time to sit down where we can go over some things regarding that report, but I will make a note to send that to all of you. That summary report of the survey results will get rolled into Chapter 6 of the master plan, and that will also go along with the 2022 community survey results that were done for the survey that got mailed out to residents. Then also you all received the voluminous Chapter 3 of the master plan draft, so that was the land use. And again, Commissioner Stewart and I are going to meet to work on some map updates, because lots of maps that need to get updated. But it's coming along. I think we're still on schedule for having a complete draft master plan document available to put out for public comment at the beginning of April. I think we're there. And if we need to move back a month or two, we can do that too. But right now, I feel pretty good that we're tracking. So, any questions or comments about master plan stuff? Okay. All right, moving on. The next item is Commissioner Naumoff had some really great proposed updates for the outside lighting ordinance, which is 154074. And I'm going to apologize in advance because I did not have the opportunity to really go through everything you provided in detail, Commissioner. And so what I'd like to do, well, if any of you other commissioners have questions or comments, I'd like us to also talk about this more fully at our next meeting. But did you have anything you wanted to just basically go over about your proposed updates?
No, it's just an easier, it's simpler to digest, basically.
Right.
For the loom, and all of the criteria, and also having the diagrams that are a little more easier to see how the light, reflects on your property. And I'm going to meet with the Natural Resource Board as well, because I guess they're the ones that also talked about the dark skies.
Yes.
And I would really love to propose that the town becomes a designated dark sky. And that's the motivation on that.
So Commissioner Sommerfeld might have some agreement or thoughts on that, since you lived in Flagstaff, which is a dark sky community.
It was really nice living in a dark sky town. This town that we live in here now is nowhere near a dark sky town. And if you get out and drive around at night, it's kind of surprising what it is out there. I like your suggestions very much. And I would like to ask a couple of things. One thing is, who in our town is enforcing these general light standards right now? I had a circumstance where it's actually about 300 yards from us. It's where we live, we're in Sunrise, the fourth fairway, and then right before the tee is a house that put 2 spotlights out there. Now, I talked with Jim Rogers about that, and he talked to the folks, and they were unwilling to do anything. They did not know. One of the questions they said, pointing up at our houses up there, was, well, we didn't know those people are in Star Valley Ranch. To which I thought, what would it matter if you're gonna be a good neighbor, whether these houses are in Star Valley Ranch or not? If we wanna step outside and look to the south and, watch one of the advertised comments or something, we don't get to see it. We're above it, and one of our statements in our ordinances is that direct sight, and if you're above something, it's obviously direct sight. So Jim talked to the people, and he did some measurements with his light meter at the time, which I believe he said wasn't very good. It clipped onto his iPhone or something, and we would probably need to get some better measuring capacity. And if Jim would have just come to our house at night, he could have looked down there and seen that, well, maybe we don't get that many lumens, but we sure get direct light. And there's a lot of that around the town.
So I think one of the things that we're gonna be working on this year and into the future is to work on our code enforcement. So Trevor, or Town Administrator Aiken, is actively working on that. Currently we have one special municipal officer, which makes it difficult for someone to be available, especially on weekends with the town's work schedule Monday through Thursday. So there's some things in the works to try and improve the ability, or the town's ability to do proper code enforcement. And in a situation like that, we can certainly, I don't know if you're familiar with this particular instance or not, Trevor, but we can take a look at that. And if there is a violation like that in the town, my stance is that if there are code violations of any kind, that the town ought to first reach out, talk to whoever is in violation, and see if we can just rectify it without issuing any kind of warning or citation. But if we can't, then a warning and then a citation, and you go from there.
The specific problem we have with direct sight could be fixed with a hood on the light.
Right.
Just shine it down. When we built our house, we put our lights in the soffits on the front porch, and we have covered lights on the driveway, which we never use. But it's not a big deal. Now, one of the comments that came up when we talked about this sometime in the last year a little bit, that if we start enforcing these standards that we have now, or move to a dark sky town, it's got to be an all or nothing thing. It can't be just on houses that are going to be built this next month. And one of the comments came up was, well, we can't go tell people to spend money to buy a hood to cover their light. Well, yeah, we can.
But
All
do
we
we
have
want
to do. Huh?
Do we want to do that as a town? We have a lot of homes here that were built well before the town was incorporated.
Yeah,
You and I might have been going back and forth on that before. So.
And there we fall back into the same problem was, well, that's the way they used to do it, but we're here now. And we run into a lot of problems with precedent. And I think that it would behoove I think, I'm thinking about the town ahead for years that I'm not gonna be alive to see. So it's like, I'm trying to think for the people that are coming in and the people that are gonna be here for a long, long time. I think it'd be pretty easy to clean up the situation, but,
I mean,
that's my thoughts.
Well, and I appreciate that. I think, what we'll, as I said, we're gonna work on code enforcement across the board with a lot of things, but the other thing too is that I'd like to try, and a lot of times people just don't know there's a code for something, that
Right,
that's a
it's
violation,
education.
right? So work on education on the outdoor lighting, might help, just like we tried to do that with some of the bear awareness stuff this past fall. But we'll work on that, and again, to go back to your updates, so just to clarify, you actually took the existing language in the ordinance and then provided updates, and that is fantastic.
And it just it's an easier, it's a simple
Reads
way
better.
of looking at it.
Okay.
And the diagrams, people really love pictures,
Mhm.
so I thought, okay, that makes more sense. And for myself as well. And education.
Yep.
One of the things that I know Rick and I do, we tell our neighbors, we talk to them, I'll text, porch lights on, turn it off. And they have complied, so it's purely to make it very easy for our residents to understand the ordinances, and then just to go over and educate them. I know the Natural Resource Board sent out this flyer, I kept it, it's like old, I think I've had it for a few years, but they had it in their little newsletter,
Yeah.
so just bringing it back to the surface again.
And these are things too, we can also include in the town newsletter, right, as a, just for people's awareness that may not know. But thank you for doing this, and if, for the other commissioners, if you have any comments that you want to add, or, questions about the language, please bring those up, and I might just touch on the same topic again at the next meeting, and then the town clerk and I can take this and move it into an actual ordinance update that we can then pass on to the town council and see if they want to move that forward. So I appreciate you doing the work on it. So
Oh, you're welcome.
a lot of times, that's the most difficult thing with getting ordinance updates, is to get someone that wants to actually do the writing to fix it, or make it
I
better.
know, I had to make it sense for me. I'm like, okay, let it make sense for me.
All right, well, thank
Can
you.
I ask a question?
Sure.
It does make a lot more sense, I agree. But since it is an ordinance change and we're gonna have to go through the amendment process,
Okay.
there are certain things I just wanna bring up. Right now, with your proposed amendments, it only talks about permanent lighting. And I don't know if there's ever a lighting scenario for like a construction project that would be temporary lighting to consider.
Okay.
And then,
Do we have current language for that? Because I can fix that too.
I don't know. I didn't
I'll work
see
on
it.
that.
I didn't see it.
There's a
And
time
then-
limit on working at night, so.
Really, because I've noticed, like, there's actually one that's not far from me, I think up on Evergreen, that thing is lit up like a landing pad all night long, and it's a construction site, so. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
So we need to, there's not anything in ordinance right now that you know off the top of your head, Scott?
As far
On
as,
temporarily, like, on construction sites being illuminated at night?
not, I don't see any verbiage on it, but
Okay.
we don't allow them to work past a certain time. So, and there has been some sites that have been working till 10 o'clock at night, trying to finish up their concrete, so
Right,
I know Jim's aware of it, and he went and talked to him,
okay.
so.
Great point, though.
My second consideration would be to add language about shielding
Okay.
into the ordinance itself if we're talking about it. And then I have a question in between the two differences. The original ordinance behind the lux requirements had a lumens per square meter in parentheses, and I don't know enough, I looked it up, but I still don't know enough about the difference and why that was excluded in the update, so I don't know if it should be included and or if it even makes a difference. I just wanted to say something about it.
Okay, just, yeah, because I don't know.
I know, I
enough
try
either.
to simplify it,
Okay.
so that anyone could understand it, because for me, it's like, okay, what's a lumen? Yeah.
I just wanted, I guess my thought on that is, it's good to simplify it, but is the specific lumens per square meter needed to make sure the measurements are accurate if we ever need to enforce it.
I wonder if that's something we could cover as part of the definition, like in the beginning of the ordinance, so that then throughout the rest of the language, you
Right.
have to keep repeating the
That would be
meter
great.
square, so.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a note about that.
Those were my thoughts.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, again, thank you for doing the work on that one. Okay, we're on to other matters from the commission. Commissioner Nalmoff, anything else for this evening? Okay. Commissioner Alders? Commissioner Stewart? Commissioner Somerville?
No, ma'am.
No, okay. I do not think I have anything. All right, items to be turned over to the town council. Town clerk is going to draft up the recommendation on the plat amendments. We're gonna keep communication open with the town administrator on information regarding the annexation. Can't think of anything else. Action items for the next meeting. Again, we're just gonna keep pulling the information together on the annexation, and probably we'll start working on getting that website spot ready on the town website, so. And as I mentioned before, to the town clerk, I started putting together sort of a summary slide deck of the information, so that you've got a more condensed version, and then we'll have all the supporting information along with it, so we'll work on that. Okay, any safe rounds from anyone? Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Dalton, and can I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Somerville. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Or I don't vote, sorry.